Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns.
Can't get my phone to work.
Did they send me daughters? Do you know why I'm singing this song right now?
No.
Look at my mug. Mulan's on my mug.
Okay. Hey, everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel. She is Hope. This is episode 110, and welcome to the Superman Experience. It's a movie and a theater experience. Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. Do you want to say hi to the folks or anything, or are you just going to laugh at me?
I'm going to say hi and that good movie, bad theater experience, but I'm going to let you
All right, yeah,
paint
I'll
the
recap
picture,
that here in a
set
second.
the scene.
But before we do the Superman Experience, we did want to put a call to action out to all of our loyal listeners. We're trying to kind of do a follower rally here this month to see how many new people we can pick up. Hope took part in a podcast the other day. What was the name of the podcast you were on?
Well, I have that in my show notes that we were going to close with that, but you're going off script. It was the Toilet Bowl Club with Nice Fowl, John Paul Fowl.
Shout out.
And his Ange is his co-host name, and they had me on, and it was super fun.
So we noticed some new downloads from that, and we thought, well, let's see how much more we can push this. So if you're listening to us today and you're a loyal, follower, and you're on social medias with us, just hit that little share button on something, be it the Instagram or X. I hate calling it X. I cringe calling it X. Or any of the other things that we post on. Just hit that share button for us, and we'll see if you can help us, pick up any new
Instagram
weirdies.
The gram.
The gram? Is that what the kids aren't?
I don't think so.
I don't think the kids are even on the gram.
Millennials are
So
calling it. Yeah, they're on like TikTok.
anyways, do that for us. Help us out or not. You're adults. You can make choices for yourselves. With that out of the way, the Superman Experience. I don't even know where to begin to describe this situation.
I'll start it, and then you can start filling in because I'll kick it off.
Okay.
Because you're better at painting the vivid details than I am. So we decided that we're going to go see Superman. It wasn't just the two of us. We went with Daniel's mom and Daniel's sister.
Shout out Hannah.
Listener. Hey, Hannah. And we decided to go see Superman. We get there. We get our tickets. We get our snacks. It's fine. We go into the theater. Red flag number one. So dark, and the movie hadn't even started yet. The commercials before the previews hadn't started yet, just darkness. Normally at this particular theater that we go to when we go here, I'm always annoyed at how bright it is during the movie. So I'm like, wow, this is darkness.
We were walking down the hallway into the theater, and I looked at you and was like, I almost thought I had my sunglasses on instead of my regular glasses. Like, it was that dark and hard to see.
So that's probably why we didn't sit on our normal end. Because we could not see. And I knew, like, your mom, like, she can't walk very well in the daylight. Like, we need to make sure she's going to be... That's not mean. I'm just saying... That's not mean. That's just being respectful. So I want to make sure that no one's going to, trip and fall up these stairs. So we didn't go all the way down to the other end like we normally do. But we like to be at the end just in case we have to pee, etc. So dark theater, we sit down, no one's in it. Set the scene.
Well, yeah, because I've got my hands up because I'm doing my righty-lefty here right now. We're usually right sides of the seat of these
for this particular theater. Yes,
sitters. Like we sit on the right side. So if the hallway dumps us onto the right side, we just go straight up and sit down. If the hallway dumps us on the left side, we walk across, go over, sit down. It's a thing. Just let us be. We've been this way all of our lives.
But it's only at this theater, though.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. But for like Hope said, because it was dark, we didn't do that. We went up, and so we sit down, and for a couple minutes...
I do need to remind our listeners, because they probably aren't in small towns, this particular theater, you don't pick out your seat beforehand. Like, I feel like all the chains, like Regal, Cinemark, AMC, you pick where your seats are. This is, you buy the ticket, you go in, you find a seat.
Which is why we got there so early.
Yes.
Because it was a Friday night. Superman was dropping, so we kind of anticipated it might be busy. So we sit down, and a couple minutes go by, and we're fine. We're just having a good time.
It's just us.
We're
it's
talking.
Awesome. It's great.
Nobody's in there. So then a buffalo herd comes into the theater, stumbles up the stairs, and proceeds to stand. Hope is sitting on the aisle, and they come up. Did the guy say something to you?
Yes.
What did he say?
Well, he was saying it to all of us, but he and I made eye contact. He goes, "Oh, way to take up all the seats, guys!" And I'm like looking around like that. You know that meme with that kid where he's like, "Ooh," and I'm like, there's like a whole theater, and I just went, you know how you do like that, like Chandler's work laugh, the fake laugh.
Let me ask you a benefit of the doubt question.
You were just glaring at him.
Do you think because it was so dark and because their group had so many people in it that maybe he thought we were part of their group that got there before them?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I think it was main character syndrome and he thought he was being funny. But I'm not sure if he thought he was being funny based upon what would happen next after he would. You just kind of gave him a look.
Yeah.
I fake laughed. Your mom and Hannah, I think, were just oblivious because they were trying to figure out their snack situation. I'm not really sure. He was just like, way to take up all the seats, guys. And I was like, ha.
So then he just proceeds to stand there.
Yeah.
And more people from his group start coming up, and a few of them file into the aisle behind us. And it's clear that this aisle in particular was the one they wanted.
Yeah, it's like Sheldon with his spot on
right,
the Big Bang
exactly.
Theory. Like, he was almost like, he just, like you said, he just stood there after he made that joke, which now I'm thinking wasn't a joke. Like, as if like he was panicked in his brain, like, where do I sit? They're sitting in my usual spot. And this has happened to us before with the whole like in-seat things where we've had to just pick another end in another row because someone has taken our quote-unquote seats.
Yeah, but we don't talk to those people.
But we don't talk to the people. We just
We
roll with
sit
it, and then
down
we grumble amongst
and
each other at a reasonable volume.
Yeah, at a reasonable volume, we grumble amongst ourselves. If we're sitting behind them, we'll give them stern looks, but that's about it. Like we're not going to try and run them out, which is how I felt like as that group was shuffling past us, and it had to be 15 people.
This was one of the bigger theaters too, because you know how like if they put you in the smaller room for smaller. This was one of this particular movie theater's bigger screens, so it wasn't like we were, you know, you must sit in the front row like where we were. Like we were towards the back.
They were the second group of people in the theater. There was no one else in there but us.
So it wasn't like a situation where they'd have to like have, you know, their neck craned up to be down front. There was plenty of seating.
If I may. It was like I was using the urinal, and there were 10 urinals, and no one else was using them, and the guy walks in and slides up right next to me.
Is that a vibe killer?
No, that's not just a vibe killer. That is like
hierarchy.
That is a foul.
So
you do not do that.
So if you are in the stall, which I'm assuming, you know, when you're in the stall as a man, you're doing, you know, a number twosies, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever either asked or given toilet paper under the stall to a stranger?
There's no talking in the stalls.
Oh my gosh, women, I've accepted toilet paper from a stranger before. I provided toilet paper for a stranger. I usually make sure that my particular stall I use is stocked with toilet paper. So you're saying like with the whole urinal thing, you wouldn't, it's not part of like the men culture to like slip some toilet paper under the stall?
Absolutely not. I've never.
Do you know like
the only communication back and forth in the men's stalls is laughter upon like certain noises.
I've had some of my best conversations with women, and like especially like bathrooms at like bars, like when you're young, you never get like, because I don't really like to be complimented by a man very much, but it always just means more when it comes from a woman. And it's just like the girlies, we build each other up, like, oh, cute outfit, love your hair, you look so pretty, you look so cute. You guys aren't like, cute outfit, love your hair.
No. My understanding of the correct etiquette, men, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you are in the stall doing a number two and there is no toilet paper, is that you sit there for an appropriate amount of time until the stalls around you are empty, accept your fate, pants up, go to the other stall and grab toilet paper.
But then you would get your underwears dirty if you put your pants up.
You have to accept your fate. It's never happened to me, so
thank goodness.
It's never happened to me.
Okay.
We got a little off course here. Superman, the Superman experience. So the Buffalo crew finally herds their way into the seats behind us.
Directly.
I think they ended up in the same aisle as us too, on the other end of the row, and they were taking up some of the row behind them.
See, I didn't notice that they ended up on the
same they were there.
Row as because at the beginning when they sat down directly behind us
and kicked the crap out of our seats
and kicking our seats and laughing and squealing and just just completely like as if no one existed in this room but them. I was like, why don't they just go to the other end? So eventually, when their crew, because they had more of them file in.
Oh, yeah.
These were not teenagers, by the way. This was not Gen Z. They were probably millennials, maybe some Xers amongst them. So I feel like I have to call that out. I know the Gen Z stare is a real thing. But I would have rather had the Gen Z stare than this loudness surrounding me. So these were not teenagers, because I feel like people are going to assume they're teenagers. They weren't.
No, they were not using inside voice.
The preteens that were at the Taylor Swift movie that we went to behaved better than these group of adults.
They just were having this loudest conversation possible. And then, of course, I'm in a situation where I'm sitting between you and my mother, and both of you are trying to talk to me at the same time about different things. And so I probably just shut down into Gen Z stare at the screen, trying to just compile
get to the
all
best
the information. Oh, yeah. So their cult leader walks in, and they just start screaming his name at the top of
Loudly.
their lungs through the theater at this point. At this point, and by the way, now there are other people in the theater, so they start looking back, and they're looking back,
At us.
and we're sitting
We're
close
not
enough to
with
these
them.
people. And now it seems like we're with the loud group.
I don't
and
think the previews had started yet, but the commercials definitely had. Well, that at that point when they screamed loudly, I leaned over you and your mom, and I looked at your sister, because originally we thought about seeing the new Jurassic Park movie, and I was like, maybe we should have seen Jurassic Park, Hannah. And the girl behind me clearly heard me. She's like, I promise that we'll be quiet when the movie begins. I was like, be quiet now. And I was like, And then the people that sat in front of us, kids. Now, this is where I will have to call out the teens. Y'all got to tell your children, lay off the Axe body spray. I could smell it in my hair Saturday morning.
Pungent.
At one point, I'm like, what is that smell? My nostrils are burning. That was, I noticed it about halfway through the movie. I was like, Daniel, what's that smell? What's that smell? And you're like, how are you just now smelling
Yeah,
this?
I smelled it as soon as he walked up the steps. That kid, by the way, wasn't watching the movie. He was playing some sort of soccer game on
And
his
then the other
phone,
kid beside him was
bouncing up and down.
bouncing up and down in his seat the entire time.
He just likes to bounce. The whole
My kid does not.
and
He
like,
just likes to jump.
like
That's what it is.
yeah, and like the thing is, so the movie was full, like it was bumping, but it wasn't that full.
It was not that. It was just full in that, like, if I could have the security footage from that, like, I want roll the tapes. Like, you could, it's gonna look like we were all in one big group, because there was plenty of seating down front that, again, wasn't this front seat, like, cram your neck. Plenty of stuff off to the side. It was really everybody just clumped in on top of us, front of us, side of us, behind us.
There were 4 rows behind us,
Yeah.
and they could have taken up.
Okay.
And so
So anyway, you're saying that your mom and I both kept trying.
you guys, and that okay,
And
so
we'd be like, who's this?
yeah, that didn't stop when the movie started. Like, you guys were all, the whole movie, it was like, you guys
But then
were
I'd be
trying-
like, that's Nicholas Holtz. And she'd
Oh, yeah,
be like,
she
oh,
was
okay,
like,
as if
she
knows
was
who
like,
he is.
who's playing Lex Luthor?
And I, like, lean
and
over.
you lean over, you heard her, and you said Nicholas Holt, and I said nobody you'd have heard of, Mom, because she wouldn't know where.
It reminded me of, like, that episode of The Office where they're at dinner and Dwight's, like, leaning in to talk because he's seated from different in the
Yeah.
group. So I'm, like, leaning over you.
Yeah.
And then I noticed, too, that I almost, like, lit into you, and then I realized it wasn't you. I was like, Daniel, you got to get the notices off your Apple Watch, because I kept seeing somebody's Apple Watch light up. It was your mom's.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I always turn mine. There's a little there's
And then you were like, I've noticed that, too.
They got the little button that has the 2 little masks to denote theater mode, and I always turn that on when I'm
I
in
was
the
like,
theater.
who's Apple? I was like, Daniel, turn your Apple Watch off. And then you're like, it's not me.
She also checked Facebook twice while we were watching.
I think she liked it, though. She had fun.
Yeah,
she
she had
laughed.
fun. I think she had fun.
She had a good
So.
time.
Speaking of that, all of that aside, we did actually see the new Superman movie.
Yes.
What did you think?
Aside from the theater experience, which I would give a grade F, I thought it was a really good movie. I will say that it felt like I started in the middle of a movie. Like,
Yeah.
it, like I was just and I'm glad in a way, because I didn't need another origin story. I feel like most people have at least a decent understanding of who Superman is, who his villain is, that Lois is his love interest, the whole kryptonite thing. I feel like most people, like, understand the basics and the details, and James Gunn made that so, like, assuming that if you're seeing this movie, you know all that. But it was a little jarring, like, because it was like I really just felt like I started like literally in the middle of a movie, like a part two of a movie. But once I started to get the flow and the vibe with it, it was fine. It was very like action, action, action. Like there was I think we all talked at the end of the movie. There was really no good like pause moment to go to the bathroom if you would have to pee in that movie. I know there are actually people that review movies and always say like this is when you should go pee in this movie. I can't think of a single scene.
No.
Because it was so like boom, boom, boom. Next scene. So
that's not a detriment, by the way.
No,
that's
not a detriment. I actually like that. It's a pacing dream for me. But like once I did have to like kind of settle in and like oh okay, like this is the pace of the movie because it felt like just on the ground running. I'm in the plot and I felt like I dropped in the middle of the movie. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I feel like I don't remember like hating Man of Steel, but it was so dark. And it just, from everything that I've been told about, like, the character of Superman, like, that's not really who Superman is. And I felt like, I think Amy Adams is a good actress. I think Kate Bosworth, who was in the Brandon Routh Supermans from, like, a long time ago, is a decent actress. Those two were not Lois for me. I feel like we have not really had a good Lois. I did not watch the CW show that's recent, so I don't know anything about that Lois. I only saw her, like, for 2 seconds in the Crisis crossover. So I haven't really seen Lois very much since Erica Durance from Smallville. So I feel like it's been a while since we've had a good Lois. And Rachel, I knew when they cast her that she was going to be a good Lois.
That's like a slam dunk.
It absolutely was.
As soon as I saw her
like,
cast,
that's going to be perfect. She's going to bring the attitude. I thought they had good chemistry. My like biggest complaint was I didn't get enough of Lois. I didn't get enough of the Daily Planet scenes with like Jimmy and I'm just thinking of the Suits guy.
Oh, Perry.
Robert Zane.
Harry.
Okay.
Perry with a P.
Perry. I could have used more of that because we really didn't get a lot of Clark. We
didn't at all.
At all, really. So I would have liked to have seen more from Lois, and I'm hoping if we do more movies, we will get more from that. So that would be probably like, it's not even a criticism. It's just like, oh, I would have liked to have seen more of this. I've never seen a dog that reminds me so much of our sweet little Marvin, like Crypto. Like even then, you told me like he's based on James Gunn's actual dog that has Schnauzer mix in him, and we have a mini Schnauzer, and I think James Gunn his dog is like part standard Schnauzer. But I could definitely see some of the characteristics, some of the way it looked. But I'm talking just the whole vibe. Like I think you and I looked at each other at one point. We're like, oh wow, so Crypto is Marvin, huh? Like just
every dog. Like dogs in movies tend to be really well behaved and like doing what they're supposed to do because in most of the if it's an actual dog, not a CGI dog, it's really hard to get dogs to act the way Crypto acted, but because it was a CGI dog, it was really striking to me. Like every time the Crypto was on screen, I was like, this feels like my dog. Like I know this is a CGI dog.
Crypto's a menace, but in a good way.
Yeah, I know this is a CGI dog, but there was some authenticity to that felt really real compared to other actor dogs that are just sitting and waiting on their commands.
So what else did I like about it before you go? Soundtracks. James Gunn knows how to make a killer soundtrack for a movie. He's going to go down in history for that. I like, obviously, Sean, his brother, got a cameo at the end, and I think he's playing like an actual important character, right?
Yeah.
I thought that David, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I thought he was a great Superman. I will say that last year when we saw Twisters, obviously everyone was talking about Glenn Powell, and I remember I was like, I kind of like the other weatherman guy that's kind of like arrogant, but I was like, he's pretty cute. And then we're like, oh, he's going to be, so we, of course, off to IMDb we go. It's like, oh, he's going to be the new Superman. So I'm like, I feel in a way like I've discovered him. No, just kidding. But like I already knew, like I was like, oh, he's going to look good. And I really thought it was very well done. The points of how good journalism matters, kindness, empathy, like all these like values like were very well put out in the movie. And there's one particular speech that Clark Superman makes, and I saw something on TikTok that was like, this is like for men, like the Barbie movie speech where she talks about being a woman. Like this could be like for the guys, like all the good guys of the world that have felt like that. And I just thought that was a really moving speech. And yeah, it was just a good movie. Lex Luthor was crazy. The biggest hater I've ever met. they didn't really explain like why he hates Superman so much in this, but it was very cartoony, villainy, like what I guess what a lot of comic book fans really want from it. So hey, they went hard and they went hard at it, and I thought Nicholas delivered. I'm like, wow, I feel his hatred for Superman hardcore in this.
They did a really good job of making this villain evil billionaire who's evil just because he's evil, which really resonated with me in these times that we live in today.
And I guess they called it Luthor Corp, which is kind of a wink to Smallville, because that's what they called it in Smallville, because James Gunn actually brought that up. And the actor that played Lex in Smallville had a bit role in this. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it, because I don't know who he played, and because I obviously missed that. I didn't see that until the end, and I just thought that was cool. But yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I think it's probably the best DC movie I've seen in probably since The Dark Knight, if I'm being honest. I think DC has kind of struggled to get that lighthearted vibe that Marvel movies have. They've really gone, like, you would go to DC for your dark, your gritty movies, not your fun superhero movies, and this was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I think they struggled because the Batman trilogy that Christopher Nolan did was more dark and more realistic, and I think they tried to make that their template,
like their shtick.
But the problem is that only really works with Batman, because then you introduce Superman, the guy that can fly, and the Flash, the guy who's really fast, and none of that stuff I don't think lives in a world where realism is what you're going for. And so to shift the tone the way they did here, I think really worked well for the movie. And overall, like, I like this movie. I thought it was a good movie. My complaints about it are minor. I think and I had this concern when we started seeing trailers and casting announcements. I think they had too big of a cast. And
like the Green Lantern people.
For the amount of cast they had, they did a really good job of getting you to understand and to know who everybody is.
I like the song with Mr. Terrific's part.
But you never really got anything more than surface level with them. And the problem was that includes Lois. And I really would have liked to have had some more time with Lois, some more time with
Jimmy.
Clark Kent, some more time with Jimmy and that team, and maybe forego the Justice Gang. I understand that he's trying to set up some other stuff with this movie, and so that's probably why all that stuff got jammed in there. But I felt like I think you could have had a tighter movie with a little bit more of a not a slow pace, but a more character driven pace. If you dump that Justice Gang storyline.
Now, I did notice one, like, it was a very blink and you miss it line, and I'm like, why have they never included this in other Superman movies? Because I watched an interview with James Gunn where he was asked about this particular line. He's like, oh, I didn't make that up. That's like in the comics. The glasses that Clark Kent wears, they're like, oh, you put those glasses on, it distorts your appearance to other people. Because the big joke that I've always heard of is like, oh, how does everybody not realize it's him when all he's doing is wearing like a different outfit with glasses on? Ha ha ha. And like this one, when the pictures were coming out, it was like, oh, at least Clark Kent has a different hairstyle when he wears the glasses. And I'm like, so I just thought that maybe James Gunn like wrote that in to kind of like off play the joke. And he was like asked about it. He's like, that's in like the comics, I guess. I'm like, I had no, I don't, again, I'm not like a big Superman girly, so I had no idea, but I'm like, that makes it a lot more sense now.
Yeah, I had never heard that either, so that must be a deep cut. I'm not going to defend him too much. That sounds like a deep cut thing to me.
I like it that he put that in there, though. So we obviously, Jimmy knows that Lois in this movie, that Lois and Superman are together, but they did not make it clear to me if Jimmy knew that Clark was Superman, if that's it.
No, it didn't seem clear. It wasn't clear to me that was unknown either, so. That
was one of my favorite parts of the movie where Perry was like, so how long have these two been a thing? And he's like, about 3 months. Yeah. Because these people are journalists. Yeah. Like, of course they're going to know.
Yeah, they're going to figure that stuff out. They're going to follow clues. They're going to get that. But overall, really good movie, really good start to whatever James Gunn is going to do with the DC heroes. I have a lot more optimism for DC movies going forward with this tone because, again, outside of Batman, I just don't think the serious tone works with DC.
I agree.
I think you have to lean into the campiness. I think you have to lean into the fun and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to come out with a better, having a better time.
And you can make a good balance because I think Marvel has struck a good balance with what they've built. I think I'm excited for the Supergirl movie. We got a little hint for that. A little sizzle there at the end.
So overall, I think if you're looking to go see a fun movie this summer, Superman's up there. I think you need to go see it. I think even if you're not if you're if you're having a little bit of a comic book movie exhaustion, I think this is kind of a nice palate cleanser, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think this will really kind of like give you a little bit more motivation to go see something like Fantastic Four later this month, or going into the winter and seeing what comes out, because I think they did a really good job. I thought the messaging was nice. I really honestly like some of the undertones that the movie touches on of things that are going on in the real world. I'm kind of shocked some of that stuff was allowed to be in the movie, to be honest with you, but it was really, really well done.
There's been some criticisms about it saying that it's, quote unquote, like woke. I'm
not even talking about that.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the allegory with the other country and Lex Luthor.
Because I was going to say the whole woke thing, don't buy into that. I feel like people that said that didn't see it.
Yeah,
if being kind and empathetic is woke, then I fear you might be more of the villain.
I'm talking about the plot line with Lex and the ruler of the other country and the allusions to things maybe going on in the real world.
They didn't really drone on that a lot. Like, that's what I said. Like, when I felt like I was placed in the middle of the movie, like all that conflict was going on, I felt like they kind of was like, this is what we're fighting against right now, and this is why. But that really wasn't dwelled on upon.
No, it wasn't.
Now, I do have a question for you. Ever since I have known you, you have been, I'm not going to say hater per se, but you've always told me time and time again that you don't really like Superman. It's not your favorite. He's not your favorite. You would go for the basic answer of, Batman, which most people choose for DC. But you've always been like, Superman, like, to the point you have been maybe a hater light on him. But you did want to see this movie. Obviously, we saw Man of Steel. I don't think you hated Man of Steel, but you were just like, But Superman has always been, like, you've been vocal about that you're not a Superman guy. Has that changed with this movie?
No.
Okay.
This is the best Superman movie I've ever seen, and I think this is the best, from my perspective, the best depiction of Superman. But for me, Superman is still a big problem if you're trying to tell stories, and but you've got this guy over here who literally cannot die, who literally can fly and shoot laser beams out of his eyes, and he has all of the correct tools to be an unstoppable force. And
except kryptonite.
And so they had to make up one Deus Ex Machina thing to allow him to be hurt, but you've got to have the ability to get this kryptonite. So if there's no kryptonite on Earth, nobody can stop Superman.
But I think in this they did a good job showing that it wasn't just the kryptonite, that he was hurt by, like, what people would think of him. Like, he wanted to be a good
And that's
person.
the stuff you've always got to use when you're doing a Superman movie. I just think that at the end of the day, it's a character that is so overpowered, it's very uninteresting to me personally. But this was still a good movie.
Who would be the equivalent of Superman in the Marvel Universe then?
Oh, there's a couple of them, but they don't get nearly as
like
all-consuming as that. I think actually that Century, Bill Pullman's son's character from Thunderbolts is kind of one of those that can be that strong of a character. I think Scarlet Witch is up there to a certain extent, but I don't think there are a couple analogs, but I don't know they're exactly who they are on the Marvel side.
Well, that's a good way to draw on my next question for you. We have seen, I consider May still basically summer. So we have seen 2 so far, Thunderbolts, or the New Avengers, if you will. And we have seen Superman. Which of those 2 movies did you like the best? They are very different, but they're both fun.
Thunderbolts still for me. I like Thunderbolts.
I agree as well. And I don't know if it's because, like, I've never really played into the DC versus Marvel thing, but I do really like the Marvel universe.
I will say it's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize they put a lot of character and heart into that Superman movie, which you needed. They needed to do that, but they pulled it off. And so it is a lot closer than I thought it would be, but it's still Thunderbolts.
I agree. For me, it's still very close. And like I said, I've never really been like, I think the DC Marvel fanboy superhero movie comic book wars are stupid. I'm just going to say it. I think it's dumb. I think you just like, and people just enjoy things. But I would say, like, with these set of movies, I've always gravitated more from what I've gotten from Marvel. And this Superman movie felt closer to what we get from Marvel for me, but I'm still going to go with Thunderbolts. I felt like, even though it wasn't, I guess, not very successful at the box office, I don't know if people have, like you said, superhero fatigue. I thought Thunderbolts did a great job of being fun, but still also being serious, touching on mental health. And I don't know. It was just, it was a really fun movie. I think of the 2 of them, though, if you you needed more knowledge of what's going on in the Marvel universe to be able to enjoy Thunderbolts. Whereas if you just have a basic understanding of who Superman is,
Yeah, correct.
even though I said it's like you're starting in the middle of the movie, you're probably going to enjoy like Superman more. Like for example, like if we had brought your mom with us to Thunderbolts, she would have been extremely confused.
No, I agree.
Whereas I
agree.
feel like Superman, she was able to, jump right into.
Yep.
And probably even your sister, who is, I guess, doesn't like Marvel movies.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
But I'll be really interested to see how Fantastic Four goes, because I think when I've been seeing the previews for all of them, that's the one that like I'm expecting to be the best one, and now the bar has been set really high.
Can I say something about the Fantastic Four?
Sure.
I never really cared for them either. Like I know a lot of Marvel fans are like,
we're all gonna die here.
like a lot of Marvel
I
fans
never cared for the Godfather.
are like, yeah, exactly, are hinging all of the MCU on this Fantastic Four movie doing well, and I agree it needs to, but I just nothing, all the iterations of the Fantastic Four or comic books or anything I know about them, I'm always just like, eh.
Well, I'm excited for the cast, and I think it looks good. So I did not see the most recent one with Miles Teller, I think, and Michael B. Jordan. I didn't see that one, but
Yeah, I didn't
I
either.
did not think the old ones were that bad, where Chris Evans was in it. Like, they were, I thought they were perfectly entertaining. Of course,
I think they were being held up against Spider-Man 1 and
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2,
yeah.
and like there's very few comic book movies even today, even after
Yeah.
all the years of Marvel movies that have been great, there's very few any comic book movies that can hold up to the greatness of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
I'm just saying, based on the preview for all three of these movies, which that reminds me, I have something else to say before we close this conversation. Based on the preview for all three of these movies, the Fantastic Four preview grabbed me the most.
Okay.
Based on previews alone, but now I feel the bar has been set high. That being said, before we close this Superman movie, back to the movie experience, why on earth were we given a preview for Captain America, Brave New World, coming soon to theaters on February 14th? I'm like, do I have to go back into time? I thought we were getting maybe like a preview for Disney Plus. And I'm like, no, they're giving us the preview for Captain America, a movie that came out in February.
When that trailer started, I started going through my head all the things that had happened to us with this group coming in and sitting behind us and being so weird. I was like, did we go into the right theater, or is this like a private party group and they're just going to watch a bunch of old trailers and talk to each other? Like, I don't know what's going on. But then we got a Fantastic Four trailer, and then the movie started, so it was fine.
It was... You and I are like, what? Even if we had gotten a Thunderbolts trailer, I don't think I would have batted an eye, because that was just in May, which I guess, now...
No, I would have. I'm sorry. The trailer for the movie should
one.
stop airing the moment the trailer comes out, or
I
the movie
feel
comes
ya.
out.
And because it wasn't that long ago that we saw the latest
Yeah.
Captain America movie, it was even weirder for me. I can't believe I almost
And
forgot
it
to
wasn't
say
any
that.
good, and I was like, I don't want to see anything about this anymore. Okay, real quick here, turning over to TV. Before we get to the main topic of today's conversation,
Believe
we
it
did
or not,
briefly,
that wasn't the main topic.
Yeah, believe it or not, we did briefly want to talk about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Season 17 has kicked off, and the very first episode of that season was the other crossover side with Abbott Elementary.
Yes. We watched the Abbott Elementary featuring the Always Sunny cast, but I don't even know when that was.
It was in February or March or January. It was early.
Yeah,
early in the
okay,
year.
so like early in the year. And yeah,
I think that, so I've watched a lot more It's Always Sunny
and I've
than
watched
you
a
have.
lot more Abbott than you.
And I think that you forgot what It's Always Sunny
Yeah.
in Philadelphia is.
I've seen some of Always Sunny. I've seen quite a bit of the first season, actually, because I don't think Danny DeVito comes on until like later. So, and then I've seen, for some reason, when we were watching Christmas episodes, you decided to include some of the Always Sunny Christmas episodes. That was a treat. So I guess I had forgotten exactly how the tone is, and I forgot that they can cuss on this show, because on Abbott, that's on ABC.
Yeah.
So we get to hear sweet little Janine, which I'm sure Quinta had a lot of fun with. What she called D an effing CUNT.
Yep. I think that's the moment where you were like, pause. And
I was like, what?
And I was like, did you forget what It's Always Sunny is?
Because we find in the Abbott version of this crossover event, Dee's like flirting with Gregory the whole time,
Yeah.
and it really bugs Janine. But then we find out why Dee decided that that's how she can be on camera more. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me more now, why she would do that. Not that I'm justifying, I guess, her actions. But then we have just getting to hear the Abbott, especially like the character like Janine say that. It would have only been better if like Mrs. Howard would have said that, but that would have probably been out of her character.
Yeah, that would have been out of character.
And I don't know. I don't even know what to say
the
about
gang
it.
got up to hijinks in the school. They were trying to like
steal copper
pipes. They were trying to film like a
no
they were trying to do an updated version of We Didn't Start the Fire, except they did not know that Fallout Boy had already done it, and so suddenly they got really upset about that.
And then they were talking about like education, about something that I'm not even going to bring up because I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm like, that's where I was also like, whoa, I forgot that this show did that. And it's still, I think the way they did it made sense, because I was low-key kind of hoping that we'd have at least Melissa and people like go to their bar, which they did at the very end, right? Where they invited them and they're like, they're like, we don't have any water. We don't have any of this on tap. We have nothing. They're like, what do you have here? So that begs the question, how are these people still in business? That's what I'd like to know. As somebody who watches Always Sunny, how do they even remain in business?
It doesn't come up.
But I thought like the whole episode for the crossover would be focused in the bar, and it wasn't. It was just the school, and it was like Ava rolling the footage about what they had done. And if you're a fan of both shows, I feel like it was pretty good. It was just a fun little crossover that they got to do. Fun. I'm glad they did it and that they could pull it off.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that out of the way, it's his time. We have completed Squid Game Season 3. It's over. No more, or at least no more Korean Squid Game.
Yeah, they're an American show is happening.
I don't. I kind of want to just set the tone that I didn't like Season 3 as much as the other two seasons.
I can agree with that. I know we learned our lesson. You don't watch Squid Game on vacation. We tried to watch the first two on Disney, and when we were at Disney, and those first two episodes came out gun blazing with everything that went down.
Really big time.
I'm going to agree with you that I felt like Season 3 of the seasons was the weakest one. I can tell that it was meant to be part of Season 2. So that's why I'm glad we didn't have to wait, because I think Season 2 dropped right around Christmas. Yeah. And because we just picked it up on New Year's, we didn't have to wait very long.
Speaking of which, before we go any further, if you guys want to hear our thoughts on Squid Game Season 1 and Squid Game Season 2, go back to episode 91, Adult Snow Day, and episode 92, Coffee Game.
And also, this is your reminder, once again, that we are a spoiler podcast. So if you have not finished the season yet and do not want major spoilers, go ahead and hit that chapter marker and skip ahead or listen at your own risk.
I don't feel like anything that happened is even a major spoiler. Like, I get it. Like, I just feel like now that
if I had known how it ended, that would have been a major spoiler.
I have a couple days to think on it, and I just don't feel like anything they didn't they didn't throw anything at us like Season 1 with Player One or Season 2 with Player One, like they did. Like at the end of this, like this is just like, I think if you would have asked me to sit down and say, how does this end?
Oh, a baby's going to win.
Oh yeah, okay. But like if you had sat me down before Season 3 and said, how's this thing going to play out? Give me 5 ways this could play out.
Yeah.
I think I could have got pretty close.
I agree, but for me, it's still about the execution, like how things happened. I would have been annoyed if that had been spoiled for me.
I understand that.
I think that when it comes down to it with this show, Season 1 is one of those seasons where I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's close to perfect. And that you could have ended it there.
Probably, in my opinion, after seeing all of the way things have gone, they should have ended it there.
That being said, I think the end was good. It was sad. It was tragic. But I figured out, in the second episode 3, I was like, oh, we're not getting a happy ending at all with this. And really, at one point, I look at you, because they're zooming in on the VIPs. Those are like the rich people that come watch these messed up games. And I'm like, is this play about us? Because we're sitting here watching it like, oh, now their player 222 had her baby, and the baby has to compete in the games as well. Like, whoa. And like one of the VIPs like makes a similar remark, and I'm like, I felt like that's kind of almost meta in a way. So, yeah. And I think the message the show ultimately was trying to portray in all the seasons was that, one, money, greed is the root of all evil, and people will do just about anything to get it. But it's not just that, it's about surviving in these hard times. A lot of these people that were thrown into these Squid Games, they didn't have a lot of money. They had fallen on really hard times, and they were desperate to try to do anything to make it ahead in a world that really doesn't want to help people.
Correct.
And especially when it comes to finances, that dog eat dog kind of like
Not-
mentality.
Not only the world that doesn't want to help people, that a world that sees
almost scoffs at it.
a world that sees your troubles as your own moral failings.
Yes.
Because you're not doing well, that's there must be something
It's not the system,
wrong
it's your
with
fault.
you that you aren't doing well, because there's something morally bankrupt about you that you have failed here. It's not that there's a system out there working against you.
And I felt like all the seasons really tried to show that. And then also, like I said, like people will do almost anything, but at the end of the day, the games are still going to go on. You can't change the world, but you can change yourself and how you see things and what you do. Even if, the games, people are always going to be crappy. The world is going to be a bad place, but
the games will continue.
But you can change what you do. And I think that's what they really tried to show with 456. So our player 456, we are going to make sure we use his name, 456. I can't pronounce his name in the show, so we're going to say 456. We're really going to try not to call him his name from the Acolyte like we tend to do. If you're not new here, we will call people names from shows we've seen like 30 years ago. And he was fresh in our minds from the Acolyte. Acolyte should have gotten more than one season. Anyway, 456. I feel like for me, here, let's just go ahead and call it what it is. 456 does not make it out of these games. He could have if he was a bad person, but he ultimately does the right thing. He makes a speech at the end, says, we're not horses, we're human beings. And he lays the baby, who his player 222 has entrusted in him, because she didn't make it through. And the baby ends up being like, the quote unquote winner of the game. So he could have won if he was willing. Like there was multiple times he could have won. When the front man gave him the knife, he could have stabbed people in the sleep. He could have won then. He could have kicked the baby off the side of the platform in the final game and won, but he chose not to. And for me, when I think about it, going back at the end of season 1, you see him, he's won the games at the end of season 1, and he is supposed to be catching a flight to LA to see his daughter. His daughter has moved to LA with her mother and her stepfather, and he makes a decision. He makes a choice that he's going to try to find like the guy that would try to, like the recruiter, I guess we'll call him that, to get people into the games, because he wants to figure out what's going on with Squid Game. He wants to shut it down. And I think in that moment, 456 died.
Yeah,
when he
I agree.
made that decision not to get on that plane to LA. And I think as we get rooted into season 2 and really, 3, I think even he comes to that conclusion like, oh, I screwed up by coming back here. So, because he does kill one player with his bare hands. That is player 388.
Yeah.
That is our boy that he pretended like he was in the Marines. And then he, in the finale of season 2, when they were trying to rise up against the guards, he didn't go back to get like the rest of the ammo because he just freaked out. And as we all I think people were suspecting he might not be a Marine, and he admitted that. And 456 kind of blames player 388 as it's his fault they didn't finish the mission, and it's his fault that his best friend passed away. And at this point, he thinks 2 of his best friends passed away because of player 1, also known as the front man, didn't make it back. So these 2 people, his childhood friend and his new friend that he had found in the games, are gone. And I think he kind of freaks out there. And then I think he gets his mind back a little bit when player 149, who is everybody's sweet little mother, ends up, offing herself, because in the previous episode she had to kill her own son.
Yeah, she's been taking care of the baby, and she talks to 456 for a little bit about, that you're the only person that can get this baby out of here. Like basically begs him for help. Yeah, and then that was foreshadowing for what she was going to do later that night, which was, end her own life, because she couldn't deal with the guilt of having to kill her own son earlier in the previous game.
And when it comes to that episode, that's the one where we were like, we're not watching anymore, because that happened in episode 2 of season 3. A lot of people are like, I can't believe she would kill her own son. I believe that she did not choose player 222 over her son. I think what happened was she saw that her son felt like he had to kill player 222, like to prove something, and she decided to kill him because she did not want to see him become a killer himself. I think that's why she made that choice in that moment, but obviously that'd be a gut-wrenching choice and horribly difficult to live with. And it was just tragedy among tragedy. I'm going to say that the saddest death for me personally in season 2 was player 120. Not only did she end up dying when she could have made it out of that game, the hide and seek game, but she went back to help the others, kind of like her squad, so to speak. And that means she also died in the body that she didn't want to be in, because her plans was to get like the surgery and everything. So that just tragedy upon tragedy. And player 333, the baby daddy of player 222, is the one that ends up stabbing her. He had already killed someone. His mission was accomplished because he had the people that had to kill, and the other people, I don't know like why he did that. And you see at that point for me, player 333 was dead to me. I was like, you just killed one of my favorite characters. I'm never going to trust you again. And I feel like player 222 was like, I can never trust you again either.
Well, and it turns out you shouldn't have trusted him, because then you get to the last game and like he was going to throw that baby off.
Well, when we have the baby, like, so player 222 was already passed, and after, like, because she couldn't complete the jump rope game, if you notice, like, he just starts eating the meals. They always bring them the fancy meal because they want to get them all rested off, well fed before the final games, to make it better. Ugh. And if you notice, he started eating immediately. 456 didn't start eating until one of the guards came out and fed that baby. And a lot of people, there's a lot of mixed feelings on 333 online. A lot of people are like, oh, he was actually going to end up saving the baby at the end. He was just trying to get rid of 456. So I disagree. You have that flashback, and people showed at the beginning of the season where she was trying to call him and he wouldn't answer. And yeah, it was probably because he was trying to go to Squid Game to get the money back. I think all he ever cared about was the money. Do I think he developed like some feelings for her? Of course I do, but I don't. I think he was very self-serving, and the fact that he hung that baby in that sling over the side of that, I really think I am on the side of, I don't think he was going to try to just off 456 so he could save himself and the baby. I don't think that's what he was doing. Maybe I'm just not seeing the good in people. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there was good in him at
No,
the
not
very
at all.
end?
I don't think so at all. I don't think there was anything redeemable about him.
I don't think he was good to start with.
No, I don't think he was good to start with. He was going to be there to do what he had to do to get out of there with his life and his money, and that includes a baby that he didn't seem to really care about until all of a sudden he needed to care about it. Right? It was he only revealed he was the father when it was convenient for him to do so.
And it's like the little details, like about him going ahead and eating the food, not even caring if the baby had eaten yet. That's just those little details that they put in for me. And like certain characters, like I don't remember his number, but Son Woo from the first season, I don't think he was always bad. Like I think the games really got to him, corrupted him, and then at the end, even though he was terrible and killed off probably my favorite character from season 1, I don't think at his core he was a bad person, and I think 456 knew that. That's just what the games does to people. It destroys people. I thought 333 was shady like the whole time. Let's see here. 246 made it out. We have the whole plot with the guard, our guard number 11, and player 246 has that sick child, and she got him out of there. And he's back working at the amusement park. It seems like his daughter's doing better. I'll be honest with you, while I thought that was one of the good moments, the good endings of the show, and I loved what a baddie that guard number 11 was, I could have dealt without that whole side plot. If I'm being perfectly honest. I felt like it was a distraction from everything else.
To me, like, I think understanding why we got 3 seasons is because Netflix said, hey, we want 2 more seasons after season 1. And that was just here to make sure that there's screen time available to get this thing over the finish line of how long it needed to be. Because it was, first of all, it was a repeat storyline from season 1, because here they are doing the organ thing, and the front man didn't do anything to try, because the front man did not like that they were doing that.
And he knows that they're doing that, right?
Well, he didn't know they were doing it, because in the first season he didn't know they were doing it. He found out, and they got punished for it. But here we are back at it again, and it's like they wove a storyline in, and it did matter to a certain extent because that guy got out, but it just was unnecessary.
I do like that we got like just a grain of at least a little bit of a happy ending. And then we had at the end, I don't remember her name from season 1, but she passed, and her brother 456 got her brother out of that orphanage, and he took her to live with Son Woo's mom
Yeah.
while they're still trying to find her mother in North Korea. And you see that montage at the end where they did get the mother out.
Yep.
And then you see guard number 11 who thought her daughter was gone. They're saying your daughter might still be around in China. Do you think that's true?
They're leaving it up for us to determine, so who knows?
So there were some like nuggets of happiness. And then we have, of course, the big reveal, the betrayal of my Shaylas. So frontman does reveal himself to player 456. It's just another, and if I'm 456, I'm like, I can't believe I got fooled again by this crap. And he does it in a way, like, I feel like 456 could have killed him in that moment when he took his mask off and revealed him. And that's why I ask you this, Daniel. I have a series of questions I'm going to ask you. Because I do ship them, and I do think that the front man had emotions for 456. And I think there was some feelings there. Even though the front man is clearly broken down by the games, and he realizes at one point that 456 is not like me. He made different choices. I think that you see audible tears when 456 passed.
Audible tears? You could hear them?
No. Visible tears. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about this. So, Daniel, was it casual that he shot his own guards to protect 456? Was it casual when he took 6 months to give up his jacket to his daughter? So, because at the end, they have the front man goes to L.A. and gives 456's daughter the jacket and the money. So was that casual? Was it casual when the man who never cried and watched hundreds of people die cried at his death? Was it casual when he revealed who he was and probably could have gotten himself killed trying to protect him? Was it casual when he killed 456's best friend out of pure jealousy? Was it casual when he ordered all the guards to stop 456 every time he tried to unalive himself? Because they don't stop other people from doing that. Was it casual? Were they lovers? Worse.
He just went to L.A. to start up the new games. So he just was like, well, I got this task I got to take care of, so I'll go ahead
You
and
don't
take
think
care of
he cared for 456?
I think he was interested in he saw himself in 456, and we saw that in the flashback during season 3.
Then he realized 456 made different choices.
Where the original number one character gave him the same option of, here's the knife, go take care of these guys in the middle of the night, and he chose to do it, whereas 456 chose not to. And I thought that scene, by the way, where they were playing back and forth with the two decisions was really well cut together, because it kind of made some tension about what's happening here. Is 456 killing these guys?
They should have been husbands.
Turns out he didn't.
And been together at the end. He should have changed him.
So I think he saw himself, and I think he saw that. I think there's at the end of the day, 456 was proving a point to him that no, we can all make the right choice.
And I think he was impacted emotionally, and I think that they,
he was impacted emotionally, and then he's going to go set up new games. So
were they lovers? Worse. I've been sending you tons of edits of my ship.
I know. I know you have.
Let's see. What else about Squid Game? So Kate Blanchett. She
yeah,
shows
that
up
was
as the
weird
new recruiter
to me
in LA. That was weird
because it's not clear to me from what I've read that she's going to be a part of the season of the U.S. version of this show, which we'll watch, but I'm not excited for.
I was that's Gene and him. And all right, I must address our hot detective, the cop guy, frontman's brother. He's serving face card, so hot. Possibly maybe the worst. I thought he was a good detective in season 1. Season 2 and 3 didn't make my baby look good at all. We do all this work. It takes forever. He finally finds him, and he's like, why? And then we've got the other guy who I don't know if you don't have a number, I can't pronounce your name. It's the guy that was working with 456 and the cop to try to help figure out what's going on. He figured everything out about the boat captain in one day.
Yeah. That was another storyline that I feel like they added in, so they had something else to talk about, and it really was not. And now, it didn't mean anything.
Not only does Hot Cop, now he's a daddy, and he's getting all this money because
Frontman. You have to say it that way.
Well, yes, I did. Frontman leaves the baby with him in a cute outfit. By the way, he kept that baby for 6 months and put her in the cutest little outfit, and he leaves the money. And I felt like he did that because I think he probably does trust his brother, but I think he's like, go be a dad now and stop trying to find me. I felt like that's why he did that. What do you think?
I think so, yeah. I think that's a final warning.
I'm a dad. I'm a daddy.
Here's some responsibility. Focus on this, not on me.
I really wish we would have gotten some more conversation between the two of them. I love how like the boat captain like just casually had photos of them, like even with the front man, like they must. I guess when the games aren't going on the weekends, they all just go fishing and have a good time together. Like what was this? I definitely though when it comes to this, we watched it. I'm not gonna say I enjoyed it because it's kind of a twisted show. Or that I'm saying I'm entertained. I don't know. Can I just say it was good, even though it was sad?
Yeah.
It was good, but I'm with you. I feel like that first season, we didn't need more. We could have ended on that open-ended mystery note, but 4, 5, 6, unfortunately, I think a lot of people are upset. I didn't want to see him die. I wanted to see him make it out, but I feel like he was dead the moment he chose
There was
not
never
to go to
any
LA.
other choice. Yeah. There was never any other ending that was going to happen, and if you thought this show was going to end with a happy ending, you were not paying attention.
Yes.
Now the American version, that'll probably have a happy ending because we have to make everything have a happy ending.
What kind of games do you think we'll get? Maybe like some Simon Says, Heads Up, 7 Up.
I don't know. I don't know. Throw rocks at people.
Oh, jeez.
All right, well, that's Squid Game Season 3. We do have another show to talk about here. It was a premiere.
Paradise. Do you know that if you watch that on TV, it was like 3 hours with commercials? I thought it was long enough.
I couldn't believe it was 2 hours, but we're talking about Bachelor in Paradise, by the way. I could not believe it was 2 hours, like, on Hulu.
I would just like to say that I hate the new changes. I miss the dirty cheap look of the old beach at the resort. I felt like having the contestants sleep in like no AC and like kind of that communal sleeping space like made everything more stressful. I like the old bar. Now it's just like they're like a new person. There's no first sand. It's the first pool. I don't even know what to call it. They're not having somebody walk down the stairs. They have some people like driving up on like a go-kart. Is that what we call it? No, a four-wheeler, not a go-kart.
Sure, four-wheeler.
We have some people just like it's just like a pool or resort. They're trying to be something they're not. They're trying to look like more of the Netflix curated reality shows and trying to have an updated modern feel. Now, if they don't, obviously we'll watch it always a day behind because we watch it on Hulu. And I know the first couple seasons of Bachelor, or not the first couple seasons, the most recent seasons of Bachelor in Paradise, sometimes the first episode you don't get the cheesy theme song where you know how they make it look like a sitcom.
Yes, I know.
And it's funny. If we don't get that, I'm going to be ticked. I need to see the Almost Paradise, the silly intros. And what was up with, like, the, like, dream sequences? Like, they're trying not to be cheesy, but then they have, like, this sequence of Dale from Claire's season, who's back on, by the way, like, putting, like, where Kat's, like, imagining things. And did they pull Dale aside and was like, okay, now you're going to pretend to spray sunscreen on your junk. Like, what was up with that?
I don't know what was going on there. It was off-putting.
Because you're like, why would you put sunscreen there?
Yeah, that was like, don't spray sunscreen at that thing, man. It gets in the wrong place, starts stinging.
So much of the cast, I figured they would do this, are people I don't even really know. I didn't really watch Jen's season because all her men were terrible. I love Jen, but I didn't watch any of Grant's season. So most of the first pool, is that what we can call them? Because I'm not calling them
I wish we wouldn't. Can we please not?
Most of the first pool people are from those two seasons. So I know there's like Jess from Joey's season. I did not like her on Joey's season, but she's there. She seems to be more tolerable on Bachelor. A lot of times people that I didn't like on their seasons are more tolerable on Bachelor in Paradise, and I think that's because they realized how they came off on camera. We've got Kat back, who you remember from the previous Bachelor in Paradise season. She was on Zach's season. Dale from Claire's season. I'm starting to see why Claire was like, you know what, I'm going to peace out of the Bachelor at early, because he is pretty charming. When he picked Kat up with one hand, that was one thing I noticed. I was like, ooh. Do you notice he picked her up with one hand to put her on the boat?
No, I didn't.
I guess not.
This cast, like, I don't know. I've watched past seasons. I've suffered through past seasons. I've been tormented by this show multiple times, but I feel like at least most of those times there are a couple people here and there who are interesting people to like watch and hear interact, and like
Not
None
even
of them.
Hannah Brown's
None of
interesting.
them.
She's there just to like literally get a paycheck.
Yeah, like none of them were like it was just like this is so boring.
They
like,
had Wells say, who's always the bartender, say a couple funny things, but like Hannah is just literally there. I think to like she's like said on a podcast, she's like I'm basically like a bottle girl. I'm just
so
pouring
so we
champagne.
watched this whole episode and we know that the Golden
The old
Bachelors
people.
are coming in. And so I keep saying throughout the episodes, can
That's
we
how
get
we
an
can
old
sizzle
person in
it.
here? Can we get an old person in here? Because they're going to at least liven this up a little bit because it
Yeah.
is boring. They don't bring one in.
At all. Not even
But
at all
then
in the
they
first
sizzle
episode.
us with a preview for the rest of the season at the end. And the very first thing they show is an old person. And I'm immediately out.
The guy's like,
immediately
no
out.
cap.
Yeah, immediately out. No, I don't want the old
And
people
they show
anymore.
him like
I was
running off
wrong.
the boat partying. What they should have done was because the women had the roses, they should have had an older golden contestant like have a last minute rose. Like I know Justin, Susie, so I know some of the people, but like I don't. It's just it's not the vibes. Will I watch? Of course. But yeah, I don't think we're prepared for the wildness that these Goldens are going to bring to us.
Apparently not.
And why is it so long?
I don't know. It doesn't need to be. They really could cut this thing down because they're showing us a bunch of stuff that's like useless. So
They're just trying to be something they're not.
But speaking of dating shows,
Yes.
so I made the call last week in error to ask if I should watch Love Island. And I've had a whole education on Love Island since then. So because apparently you guys want my reactions to this show. Well, we tried.
We did try.
But there's apparently a UK version and a US
Yeah.
version, and we have no idea which one you guys want us to watch,
A lot of people watch both.
and two, where to watch them.
The UK version, which we started to watch, is on Hulu, and they do have some old episodes of the USA version on Hulu, but they're currently airing the most recent season, which I think just ended, by the way, on Sunday, is on Peacock. We do not currently have Peacock. A lot of the clips I've seen of Love Island, I'm just watching on like TikTok and like people
by the way-
talking about it. That's how I keep up with it. But yeah, we don't have Peacock right now. Should we get Peacock just for Love Island?
She sits here and rattles all that off like she knew it already, but we sat down for dinner last night, and she just puts on whatever Love Island had come up when she did her quick search.
I thought that it still was on Hulu.
And I'm like, these are all British people.
I just said, did you not hear what I just said?
Yeah, I heard what you just said.
That a lot of the clips that I watch have been stuff that I've seen on TikTok. That's how I keep up with it. I assumed that you could still watch the USA version on Hulu. I would have been, a lot of people watch the British version.
Fair listeners, I'm only going to watch one version. And I'm only going to watch one season from one version. So you all get together, you put your collective heads together, figure it out, let me know, and I'll watch that.
Or we could have Daniel skip Love Island entirely and we could commit to Traitors. For the new
No,
season.
I feel like I've seen one episode of trailers.
Oh.
I can't do that.
All
There's
right.
something about that show I'm allergic to. It's awful. It's terrible. I don't want it.
You're going to offend people.
I
Well,
don't care.
some good shows are coming back.
It's Star Trek Week!
And The Summer I Turned Pretty. I'm more excited for that. Both of those shows come out this week. I thought we were going to get 3 episodes of The Summer I Turned Pretty at once, but now I'm reading, I just said this week, a hot new bombshell enters the villa. Did that, see? We got a little Love Island in there. Anyway, I think we're getting the first.
Oh, is that what that's from?
Yes.
Okay.
The first 2 episodes of The Summer I Turned Pretty, we are getting, and then we are getting 1 episode, I believe, of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I think Summer I Turned Pretty is the 16th and Strange New Worlds is the 17th, so we shouldn't have a conflict.
Oh, and good news for Star Trek. We are getting 2 episodes.
Oh, so we are.
I just looked it up. I was
Okay.
worried because we got left on a cliffhanger at the end of season 2.
So it is. So we're getting 2 episodes of both of these shows this week.
Correct. So we're content fed.
All right. And if you guys are wondering about And Just Like That, we are probably going to finish it eventually, but we are currently on hiatus because it is that bad.
You are. I'm out. I'm tapped.
It is not great.
I can't go back to that show. You've told me some things that have gone on since we haven't been watching. I'm out. I'm not interested in that show anymore. We will see you later. I'm waving bye to And Just Like That.
Or not. We don't know.
Look, you can't make me watch all of it. You can't make
If
me
I
watch,
have to, you have
if
to.
you can't make me watch Love
We're all
Island
in this together.
and Just Like That, and then the other night you put in a bid to try and get me to watch the summer I turned pretty by bribing me with a Star Trek movie that you're already going to watch. You're watching Star Trek 4.
We should watch Smallville.
Anyway, I'm not watching. No. I can only do so much. I can only take so much punishment.
All right, anything else?
No, that's all I got. See y'all next week.